Good day, and welcome back to another episode on GameTech Electronics Hobby House. Today we're going to be looking at the Raspberry Pi 3 and with the Windows 10 WOA install on it. So originally what I was going to do was I was going to do a post about how to set up, get it installed, and kind of get things going. That would have been great had everything worked the way it should. Now, I went through a lot of different troubles throughout this process, and that's what I thought I'd do instead, would be to talk about my experience so far with using the Windows 10 WOA install on the Raspberry Pi. So the first thing is, does it work? Yes, it does. Does it work great? Meh. If I could get all my cores to read 1.2 gigahertz instead of the 600 megahertz that it's currently at, it would be even better. I did go into the main screen there and adjust to have it to max, but yet it still just wants to read in Windows 600 megahertz. So that was one of the first downfalls for me. But well, no, actually, that's a little bit later on. The install process. Now, the new installer works great, but there was a few things that, well, they didn't really document too well of how and where you find certain files. So after getting the installer to install the image onto my micro SD card, I was quite happy, excited. I get to load it up. It took hours for it to download, and it was an all-day event. It wasn't like put noobs on there, pop it in the Pi, download your image, and away you go. It was an all-day process of downloading, installing, updating, and it was just to the point where I'm like, you know what, at this point in this project, I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to focus on letting you guys know my experiences so far with what has happened. So the first thing, the 1809 image for Windows 10 that they say to use does not work on mine. The USB, ports were not working on that image for some reason. But I went to the 1803 version, which I downloaded separately, and I tried that, and lo and behold, my mouse and keyboard were working. So I decided I would stick with the 1803 version. Make sure you try the 1809 first if you have the time. If not, I would say go with the version that is working. Now, I did use the newer driver set there as well, and I did try to load the other ones as well. Maybe there was a difference in there as well. With everything installed and my Raspberry Pi heating up graciously on me, I thought it was time to try to get it connected to the internet as soon as everything loaded up and I was able to actually do something on it. Windows 10 does work on it, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be the fastest, but I will say this. I have worked with slower computers than a 600 megahertz quad-core Raspberry Pi with 1 gig of RAM. I've seen worse computers with Windows 10 on it. How to connect this to the internet? Well, at first I found this guy here. There it is. So that's all this guy is. It's just a cheap dongle off of eBay. I probably paid a couple bucks for it at the time. And I thought, you know what, I'll give that a try, since the onboard's not working. Lo and behold, it starts to update the driver. I was like, all right, we're going to have some internet. Wrong. So it decided not to work. So, alright, well, whatever, we'll figure out something else, but what can we do? I only have a few other different dongles that I can try, and, well, they're somewhere around, I'm not too sure where at the moment, but I decided, what else could I do? So that's when I came up with a new idea. I did have this guy here, and this is just a really cheap Bluetooth dongle that I'd gotten for a previous project in the past. So I plugged that in, and then I connected and paired a Bluetooth speaker to it just to make sure it worked properly, and lo and behold, it did. So what I did next was to get actual internet working. Yes, that's right, internet does work on this. You can definitely use the internet on Windows 10 on the Raspberry Pi, but it's going to be a little bit of work. First thing I did was I paired it with my phone over there, and I was going to try to tether it to my phone, so that way I could use it as an access point on the computer, so that way I could get it to work. Well, it didn't work. It kept on saying direct connect, so I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, I'll try another device. Tried my iPad, same thing. And then finally I found my old Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 hiding out in the corner here, and it worked. I managed to make it so that it would pick it up, and then I could go to PAN, join a PAN network. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, yeah. And then from there, I was able to connect to my tablet as an access point. Now, with this cheap dongle and my tablet, and being so far away from the router, I was probably only at best getting about 1 megabytes a second download speed. But that was enough to get me on the internet, get Windows updating, try to find some other drivers that I might be able to use. But then I got to the Windows 1809 update on Windows Update. Everything was going fine, but I only used a 16 gigabyte micro SD card. So I'm going to tell you this now, if you're going to use Windows 10 on a Raspberry Pi, make sure you're using minimum a 32 gigabyte card, because if you do start off at the 1803 or later on down the road, you're going to need that space at least a few gigabytes, I think it is, left over, so that way the computer can update Windows properly. Or you can use an external source, but I decided to, you know what, I'm done with this project for now. I got Windows 10 installed on the Raspberry Pi. I got the internet connectivity working on it. I tried some of the programs, they worked fine. Windows Store worked. A few programs had problems launching, but I did install Firefox. That worked great, and played around with a few of the other things. Audio works great on it. Everything that you would want would work. But with the space issue, to me at this point, I had to stop this project because I have to start once again back at scratch. So at this point, this is my learning experience from this. Yeah, so minimum 32 gigabyte card. You want to have you know, something that you can connect to the internet. I do want to see if I can figure out why the Windows is not registering the CPU as being 1.2. I've reached out to a few people. Hopefully someone can help me, guide me in the right direction, but I'll have to look into that a bit more because that would be an added bonus. The CPU usually runs pretty high. Once again, it's only at the 600 megahertz right now when launching items, so you can't multitask that well on it. You can have a few tabs open in Firefox, no problem though. Microsoft Edge works, Internet Explorer 11 works, everything works. When it comes to multitasking though, you're just going to want to do one thing at a time. The memory usage, the 1 gig is usable, but don't expect to run anything that requires anything more than that, because you'll cap it out pretty quick, because the OS on its own already does a good job at using up that memory. I did a bunch of configurations when it came to Windows as well. I killed a bunch of services, I killed a bunch of background stuff, dropped the graphics down, you know, set it all to performance mode, or for the best performance. You know, just changing the desktop background from the picture to something black, removing icons off the desktop, everything I could to make it work a little bit better. And even with the 600 megahertz, it was doing okay. Like, it was usable. I've certainly had slower laptops running Windows 10. Definitely have a lot more you can do with something with this form factor. So having this device working as a whole in the future here would be awesome. Why not? Well, that's exactly it. Why not? You know, it's a great experience. It's something to play around with. But yes, it does get hot. Yes, it does have lots of bugs. And no, it's not complete. So at this point, I have to stop with this project until I get another micro SD card. So that's my learning experience from this so far. So far it's been pretty decent. I'm quite happy with it. But now that I've gotten some of the little bugs out of it and I know how to get things connected, the next time I do it, I'll be more well prepared for it. And I'll probably start again with the 1809 image. I'm going to re-download another one and try that before I go back to the 1803 image. And then at least then I'll have enough room to be able to update my operating system once I get connected. And then I'll start playing around with the drivers and see what other things I can get going on here. But yeah, that's it for me. So thanks for watching, everyone. You have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Take care, eh?